It was a crazy week in college football, and we're here to look at it and see what prospects helped their stock, who hurt their stock. Welcome to the Stock Report. What's crack-a-lackin'? I'm your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful, sensual football discourse. And let's start this list off with the highest scoring game of the weekend. Tanner Mordecai put up 10 total touchdowns as SMU beat Houston 77-63. Hopefully you had the over in that game. That's wild. And I had to talk about it just because it was just such a wild game. I mean, Houston and SMU, like in the first half, it was 56-35. It was already like a massive scoring game. And honestly, Tanner Mordecai isn't the only college quarterback prospect in this game that people are looking at. Some are looking at Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune, right? Yeah, I think it's Clayton Tune, who went for over 500 yards in this game and 7 touchdowns. Though I think Mordecai is probably the more realistic draftable prospect, though I don't have a draftable grade on Mordecai. He's like a priority UDFA, and I guess we could get into Mordecai here. Let me pull it up because he's a former 4-star recruit from the 2018 class, and he went to Oklahoma. He redshirted Oklahoma, and he shortly transferred because he struggled to see playing time behind guys like Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts. And then in 2021, he led SMU to an 8-4 record, and he's back here this year. And obviously, SMU not having quite the success they wanted, but still a solid season. And a large part of that's been because of Mordecai. He's got adequate arm strength. He does a nice job of running through progressions, has athleticism to make plays with his feet, shows good vision, can extend plays with the ability to scramble, good zip on the ball. And he could really fit passes into a plethora of different windows. It's just he needs better control of his throws. That's the thing when it comes to Tanner Mordecai. You may look at that completion rate, 28-37, but his ball placement's all over the place. It really is. It can be a bit erratic, and he makes catches more difficult than they should be. Doesn't really give the receivers a chance to make the play after the catch. Sometimes he'll abandon the pocket prematurely and take too many shots rather than like going to his checkdowns. Kind of like the who was the quarterback here prior at SMU? Oh, it's slipping my mind. I want to say it's Shane. He came from Texas. Shane. I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comment section below. It doesn't come to mind. But really, when it comes to like, you'll look at his completion percentage, and it's like, oh no, that's pretty solid. And it's kind of inflated because of the scheme there at SMU. And honestly, like this season, you thought he was losing a lot at receiver, but like a lot of talent because like Danny Gray left, Robertson left for the NFL, but like Raheem Rice was like, or Rashee Rice was like, yo, I'm here. Let's go ahead. Let's make this thing happen. Let's do things. And that has been his prime target this year. So, honestly, Mordecai, he's like a fine guy if you want to develop. The guy with accuracy issues, but adequate arm. Like, I think he's going to have no trouble making a practice squad. But I want to stick with this game and talk about Tank Dell. That's right. Nathaniel Tank Dell, who had a great game. 13 receptions for 180 yards, 2 tutties. This guy is really good at getting the ball. Probably one of the, like, you look at his size and you're like, that's not NFL size. Listen, if Tutu Atwell went on day 2, like Nathaniel Dell, it's A-okay for him to go somewhere early to mid day 3. And I think that's kind of his range. More so early day 3, but I'm a big fan of Dell. He's formerly a 3-star recruit from the 2017 class, decided to go to Alabama A&M, and then he redshirted his first season after injury. He saw minimal playing time in 2018, decided to transfer to Independence Community College, which, yeah, they featured Last Chance U, but that was before Dell arrived. He had a really good year there for Independence Community College, where he had 52 receptions, 766 yards, 8 tutties. Decided to transfer to Houston in 2020, where he carved out a role early on, had the breakout season last year, and he's just continuing to have a really great season this year. Like, this guy's got blazing speed. I would say he's got elite stop-start ability. Like, his ability after the catch is like video game-esque. It really is. He possesses one of the nastiest back steps you'll ever see. Very fluid route runner, and just very explosive on his breaks. He pretty much has played in the slot his whole career. Not a guy that, he's not going to play on the outside, but he's probably one of the premier slot guys in this class. Like, he is a guy capable of winning the line of scrimmage with his feet. So, like, I wouldn't be shy to put him on the outside, but that would be occasionally. This guy's a slot guy through and through. Tracks the ball well in air, shows good body control just well to the throw, and he can make catches away from his body. He also brings return experience, which you love. However, again, lack of size. He did put on 10 pounds from last year. He was 155 in 2021. And just NFL's not going to get behind that. You know, that's what takes him out of day one, day two. It's really what it is. Physicality is going to be a concern. He had a 10% drop rate in 2021, though it's been a bit better this season. He's capable of making catches away from his body. However, there are a lot of cases where he catches the ball with his pads. So prefer to see him use the Torrey Holt diamond there, but it is what it is, man. I think he's a phenomenal prospect, and I felt like for this game, it deserved, with how many points were scored, it deserved more than just one person on this list. Next on the list is Khalan Laborn out of Marshall. This cat is he's a bit of a bruiser. He really is. This guy absorbs contact exceptionally well. Had a really good game this week against, I think it was Old Dominion. Low scoring game. I think it was like 10-7 or something like that. But didn't have a tutty, but he had a lot of forced missed tackles, and a guy that I have seen a bit in the comment section. So I was like, hey, let's go ahead and mention him. Now, Laborn is an interesting story. He was a 5-star recruit from the 2017 class, so he is going to be one of the older prospects in this class, where I think he'll be about 25 when he's drafted. But his cousin, Daz Newsome, already in the NFL. He was also cousins with former Buffalo Bulls running back Kevin Marks. But Laborn, he arrived to Florida State, right? Redshirted his freshman season and was expected to take a big role in 2018. And he ended up dislocating his kneecap in the second game of the season, and it basically ended his year. And then in 2019, he played a rotation role, but then ran into a bit of problems where he was suspended for the Florida game for violating team rules, where he was eventually dismissed from the team before the 2020 season. So he planned to transfer to Garden City Community College in 2021. For whatever reason, he didn't end up playing for them, and he decided to return to Florida State, but as a student, and just, finished his degree, and then arrived at Marshall for 2022 as a grad transfer. So very interesting road, and a guy with not a lot of mileage on the tank here. Like, the dude has a great build, good pop. Like, he's a strong runner, does his best work in tight spaces. He racks up yards after contact. He maneuvers close quarters exceptionally well, and just explodes into defenders. He shows good anticipation, very nice jump cut. But again, older prospect, but very low mileage. Really, this season's the only time he's really put in that kind of like that, really taxing his body as a running back has been this season. So he comes in with low mileage, which that's great. You love that. It's just you're only pulling from this season in terms of sample size. You really are. So it's like he's kind of a question mark. He's got a pedigree as a 5-star recruit, former 5-star recruit. But again, it's like, it's such a small sample size. You're working with just a year here. And there's going to be a lot of questions that he's going to have to answer about what happened during that Florida tenure, where mainly where he was suspended and then eventually dismissed from the team. So that, again, we won't find out till the combine, but you will say, based on the sample size we have, he's not a guy that he's not using the passing game. He just isn't. And you kind of question his open field quicks, and it doesn't seem really dangerous in that regard. Like, he's a bruiser. Like, what he does is between the tackles and just like killing guys. I don't think he has like that twitch, that burst in the open field. He's a guy with like moderate speed that'll, honestly, at this point, he's kind of like trending late day 3, maybe priority UDFA, but he's a guy that's gonna have to see how he tests out. Probably will need an all-star bowl to really put that to help his stock, but I don't see him, just with the small sample size and the age, being a guy that might be draftable. If anything, I think he's going to be one of these priority UDFAs. So I just kind of wanted to address that real quick. Next on the list is Viliami Fehoko out of San Jose State. This guy had quite the game, 12 pressures and 3 sacks against Colorado State. And a cat I've actually been watching for. I thought he might come out last year in the 2022 class, decided to return. And he's having a banger year. He looks like he's well on to having a career year there at San Jose State. And a cat that, if you didn't know, he is the second cousin of Vita Vea from Tampa. So you love to see that. Former 3-star recruit out of the 2018 class. Redshirted his freshman season. Started in 11 games in 2019. Had his breakout season in the 2020 campaign. Ran a bit hot and cold in 2021, but still had a very productive year. And he's just been wonderful this season. This dude wins with strength. He wins with length. He gets great leverage, will grind out blockers. He never stops moving the feet. I love that. I love guys that just play with their hair on fire and just never stop moving their feet, even on contact. I like that. Honestly, he's a guy that has kind of fluctuated a bit with his body and has played everywhere on that San Jose State defensive line, as he's played from 3 tech to all the way to 9 tech, man. Like a guy that's lined up literally wherever. You love to see that versatility, and you love to see production coming from a variety of different spots there on the defensive line. I will say he's got kind of a leaner, lower body and does bend a bit at the waist when hitting initial contact. Isn't the most elite athlete and lacks ideal quicks and bend for the position. And again, ran a bit hot and cold in 2021. Been more consistent this season. And not ideally a guy you want in the run game. He's probably, I don't want to say he's a DPR, but he's a guy you're going to be using on passing downs, really. Like, again, a dude that's kind of like dead in the water in open space. So if we're going to bring him out on the edge, and then we're gonna do that in the passing game, because we know he can get after it, man. We know he's going to come and bring that high effort, I guess, that high motor effort. So you do like that. I love the urgency in which he plays with. Guy that's just been very good for the last couple of years, and haven't really got a chance to mention this season. And we have Tanner McKee. And it's not necessarily a stock down. Listen, this guy's playing mistake-free football, but his team ends up in these massive holes that he's not really getting a chance to really like operate a plus like play script. This guy's always having to play from behind. That's such a trash situation he's in at Stanford. They were down, I think, 42-0 to Washington State at half this past weekend. Freaking terrible. Like, people might want to point, like he's struggling to move the football. It's like, no, this team is. Like, he had 3 drops this past week. Dealing with that. The pressure was constant. He faced pressure on almost like 25% of his dropbacks. Like, he's just in an offense where it's hard to function. It doesn't matter who you are. There's no weapons. Like, he's got, Elijah Higgins is He's fine, but he's been situational. He's this big guy that can run fast. That's it. Really, Eurosex is only like consistent target, and he's been a bit hot and cold this year. There's nothing coming from the run game. Like, it's just a terrible situation for Tanner McKee that he's not really going to be able, I think, to elevate his draft stock. And I think for the most part, people are going to view him as a top 50 guy. But I think you're going to find few and far between actually consider him a first rounder. Just because, whoa, look at the lack of production. Look at the lack of talent around him. Like, this cat is so good. He's so accurate. He might not have that plus mobility, but I mean, he's 6'6", 228, prototypical quarterback size. And yeah, he's a guy that wants to function within the pocket, but he throws with good precision. He throws with good timing. The dude can sling the ball. He's got an arm that could hit any NFL throw you would want. I just don't think it'll be enough. Like, he's gonna be a first rounder for me. I just don't think he will be for most of the community. I think he was in Dane Brugler had him as a top 40 prospect. I think most people at least consider him a top 50 prospect. Honestly, if you don't, I don't know what you're doing. Like, Tanner McKee's exceptionally talented. If you're gonna be like, oh, he ain't producing, it's like, how can he? How can he? All right, well, shoot, we're down 3 touchdowns. Guess they're going to know I want to pass the football. Oh, I guess they're going to know we need to pass the football because the run game blows. Like, E.J. Smith went down early in the season. That was their best running back. It's like they just don't have it. The offensive line's not all that great. I just feel bad for Tanner McKee, and he is going to be consistently just people are going to be low on him just because of the situation he is rather than the talent he has with his arm. And I just think it's a shame. I really freaking do. On to the next. We got Isaiah McGuire, edge out of Mizzou. A guy that a lot of people have been big fan of this year. 5 pressures, a sack this past weekend. Very solid. Let's bring up, where are you at, my friend? Here we go. So he's a guy that's going to be eligible for Senior Bowl. I fully expect him to get a Senior Bowl invite. Former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class, played 6 games as a freshman, but didn't really see significant snaps. It was 2020 where he kind of like earned this rotation role before he started 5 games. And then he's been a starter ever since the beginning of the 2021 season. This dude brings a nice combination of just athleticism, flexibility, power, urgency, length. You love to see it. Plays with a hot motor. He has been the leader of this Mizzou defense the past 2 seasons. Plays with very active hands. He understands Russian angles, making him just a very effective pass rusher. And you've seen that. His production's been great this season. He also plays the run exceptionally well. He does a good job of setting the edge. He plays with a lot of strength. He has the ability to stand up, put his hand in the dirt, or even kick inside on passing downs. Like, I can see why people are a lot of or are big fans of him. And really what he can add to is I think he needs more strength. Like, and when I say that, I think it needs to be more explosive. He doesn't really have a lot of explosive power, whether it's from his first step or from his pop when he makes initial contact. Like, he does, like, right now he's kind of so at creating or at least turning power to speed. And that's really hasn't been his game. And I think it's something he could definitely work on, just getting better at the explosive aspect of his power. And there are times where he's a bit of a bull in China shop. He plays ahead of himself, and it's like sometimes he ends up in the backfield. It's so quick, he just doesn't know what to do. Like, where am I? How'd I get here? Like, kind of case. That's why, again, bull in China shop is just kind of like the best way to put it. A guy that just doesn't play with a lot of balance, essentially. But the dude has grown quite a bit. Like, we're talking physically the last couple of years. So I think it's just a matter of putting it all together as an athlete. So, because like the dude has a wonderful build. Again, I want to see it be more explosive. That's why we're going to probably talk about him more as this early to mid day 3 guy rather than maybe a guy that can maybe sneak into day 2. At least that's what I think right now. But we still got a little bit of season left, along with obviously the off-season draft process. So a guy that can elevate his stock, but it is a tough edge class this year. It's really good. On to Gabe Hall for the defensive interior of the Baylor Golden Bears. Had a big win this weekend against the Boomer Sooners, and I can see why a lot of people love this cat. First off, good game, 3 pressures, had 7 tackles, a guy that literally just plays everywhere. Former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class. Played in all 8 games as a freshman, but did miss 6 played in 8 games as a freshman, but did miss 6 games because of a knee injury. Redshirted in 2020, which usually is a smart move. I mean, it's kind of a wash here. 2021, played in 13 games, made 8 starts. Was unable to play in the bowl game. Don't know if that was undisclosed injury or something else. And then just dude's been really good this season. He really has. Like, he's long. He's got a long and powerful frame. Shows good versatility, playing 5 tech and 3 tech, and shows strong hands, good short area quicks, very good at going one-on-one, like very good, like in terms of if you're trying to go one-on-one with him, good luck, fat chance. And just a guy that's high motor, high effort, honestly, ideally, I think he's like a gap shooter, gap penetrator, But again, he has the versatility to play in a lot of different schemes. I just think with his skill set, it's probably best if he's more of a gap penetrator. I will say, though, he's kind of a bit of an above. I don't think he's like a high-end athlete, but I think he's above average for the position. I think he's still putting it together in terms of pass rush toolbox because he's just not much of a technician. There are times where like his hands could be a bit inaccurate and not precise and just misses his punches sometimes. Along with the tall frame, he kind of struggles to maintain leverage on longer reps, and he does get neutralized by double teams, kind of is what it is. Is a bit inconsistent in the run game, though that has gotten a lot better this season as we've seen a lot more gap discipline from him, and you love to see it. And honestly, a cat that could make a lot of money this offseason. Really, really can. He should be eligible. Yeah, should be eligible for the Senior Bowl as he's got 4 years to his name. And next on the list, we have Hendon Hooker. These last 3 spots are going to be devoted to the Tennessee-Georgia game. Hendon Hooker, you might think, oh, this is a down week for him. I don't really think that's the case. I think what we saw was he is what he is. He's a guy that likes to work with a lot of space. He works in an offense that creates a lot of space. And when he isn't afforded space on throws, then he's really just putting his guys in jump ball opportunities. Like, I think, I'm telling you, the accuracy is a bit more inconsistent, though we have seen a bit more consistency on the accuracy underneath. Does throw with touch. Honestly, his one interception, I don't really think it was his fault. It was just Cedric Tillman got bodied by Keely Ringo. He really did. Keely Ringo outmuscled Cedric Tillman and got into better position for the ball. I don't really blame that on Hendon Hooker. Fumble in the end zone. Yeah, that was kind of his fault. Held on the ball for too long. Allowed Jalen Carter to just first off, we'll talk about Jalen Carter in a minute, man, because woof. But yeah, allow Jalen Carter to get there and literally rock him. But Hendon Hooker, literally, they shut him down downfield. He only had 1 pass for 20-plus yards, only took 1 shot, or took 5 shots down the field that were 20-plus yards. Mainly, they were just trying to get the ball out of his hands very quick and trying to get guys like Hyatt and Tillman to create after the catch, and it just didn't happen. That's why that offense was so stagnant. So it's a rough game, but I think it's a good illustration of what Hooker is. Because some people, I think he can be a fringe first rounder, but I don't get it when people talk about him as top 5, top 10, top 15. I don't see that. I think he'll be a top 50 guy, but even fringe first round, it's ugh. I don't know, because he doesn't exactly have the physical upside. His tools are his tools, and kind of is what it is. At that age, it's you look at that arm, it's yeah, he's gonna, for the most part, he's gonna be a guy his accuracy is a bit here and there, over the middle and the intermediate of the field. He's a guy that can't really put a lot of zip on the ball downfield. He's not a guy that's gonna be able to throw it on a rope. He relies on a lot of touch. He really does. And even the ball placement on that Cedric Tillman pass that was intercepted, it could have been placed better. But to be fair, honestly, like Tillman should have fought for that. He just got bodied by Ringo, and it's not like Ringo had a great game either. Ringo, to be fair, they were like throwing the ball as he was playing off coverage. So Ringo did a good job of neutralizing gains in front of him, but he allowed like, I think 8 receptions on 9 targets, with the one incompletion being an interception. But that was the one time they tested him deep. Outside of that, they weren't really testing him outside of like 5 yards. So I guess that's something to note. Yeah, poor Hendon Hooker. I think better days are ahead for him. Obviously, this was his toughest task yet, and we'll see where it goes from here. But that, again, those are just kind of my thoughts on Hendon Hooker. On to Jalen Carter. Monster day. 2 pressures, a sack, 2 forced fumbles, with one being in the end zone that barely, almost was a safety. Offensive lineman got on that and was able to get it back to the half-yard line. But you saw on that play, Carter literally just basically put trying to figure out where the right guard on his butt. And then the running back didn't even stand a chance. I'm pretty sure it was the run back coming in for pass protection. And stinking Carter just literally swatted this guy away with no effort. And then he proceeded to hit stick the heck out of Hooker. Okay. This guy needs to go in the top 5. I don't understand mocks that have him outside the top 5. At that point, I think you're just reaching for need and you're reaching on less valuable players. Like, I had someone talking about, oh man, the Steelers honestly should have went tackle in the first round. I was like, I don't know if Jalen Carter's on the board. Like, Jalen Carter's like a top 4 guy in this class. Top 3. Like, Carter's legit, man. Like, the dude is legit. It might not be a sexy position, but this is a cat that's going to play good NFL football, man. Like, this guy eats double teams. This cat's explosive, wreaks havoc. He was slowed by I think it was a knee injury this season, but the dude's playing great football. If we're going to talk about Georgia in general, dude, Kenny McIntosh had a day, consistently getting to the second level with ease, and did it in the passing game as well. I think he had over 50 yards receiving. You had the offensive line for Georgia just neutralized that pass rush from Tennessee. Like, guys like Byron Young did nothing in this game for Tennessee. And the guy that plays opposite of him, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they did nothing. Broderick Jones was shut down. The rest of the line was shut down. I think Cedric Van Pran had his best game of the year. Like, this Georgia offensive line dominated this game. Dominated. If we're talking about MVP for this game, it was the Georgia offensive line. They did work. And then I want to talk about one more player from this game, being Jeremy Banks, because I think he was the best defender for Tennessee on Saturday. Had 7 tackles, a pressure, a pass breakup. He only allowed 9 yards on 2 targets. He had a tackle and a half, or 1.5 tackle for loss. So essentially 2, but more so an assisted one. I don't know. This half stuff annoys me. But yeah, no, like, he was wonderful this game. I saw him on Mel Kiper's top 10 linebackers in this class, and I was like, okay, I want to go check out a little bit more of this guy. And honestly, like, from what I saw this year, he's solid. Like, he's going to be like a early or mid day 3 guy, but he's a solid prospect. And I will say his background is probably more interesting than what he is as a prospect. I will say that. I guess let's talk about talk about what he is first, because he is a bit undersized, but he, at that size, he's a tremendous athlete. Like, I love the change of direction. This guy that plays one speed and it is fast. His game, like he plays the game at a fast speed. And sometimes to his detriment, he'll overrun plays sometimes because of it. But I think he's been a bit better at that this season. Got that sideline to sideline speed, shows good patience as a blitzer. I believe he has like 10 or 11 blitzes or pressures on the season. I love the coverage prowess this season. Has been real good. Like he shows the quicks to get into the hip pockets of pass catchers. And I just love the grit, the willingness to square up with anyone. He doesn't care the size. Like he will square up with them. I love the urgency. I love the motor he plays with. And in all honesty, like he's a guy that could probably put on more weight. I would like to see that. But because there are times where, he is a bit aggressive. He does tend to overrun plays. He likes to try to go through traffic, then try to actually navigate it, and sometimes he gets locked up and is out of the play there. And honestly, it really just comes down to, I think that I just want to see him add more power to that frame. That's kind of the biggest thing I saw. So that might be maybe adding like 5 to 10 pounds, get to that 230, 235. Now let's talk about the glaring red flag when it comes to Jeremy Banks. So this guy was a former 4-star recruit, and he was initially recruited as a running back and actually played running back his freshman season for Tennessee before switching to linebacker in 2019. Now this is where things get funny, because during the 2019 season, he was actually dismissed from the team for altercations with campus police. One being for a traffic stop. Here's the worst part. Both of these instances are on video. One was a traffic stop where it was like speeding or something. I don't know. You can look it up, but where he was just cussing out police. And it was like, and then a few months later, there was an altercation with a woman who I believe maybe had a restraining order against him. And he smacked the phone out her hand that she was recording with. Again, when police came, body cam footage, he's out there cussing like, oh, I'm thugging and bugging, yo. It's like, okay, not good. Like you've had literally this on video twice in like the duration of 3 months. So yeah, he got dismissed from the team, but he worked his way back. 10 months later, he finds himself back on the team, and coaches praise this dude's maturity and that there was a lot of growth during that. So we might be able to be like, because this was back in 2019, like he was young, he was stupid, he's a different player now. And honestly, kind of looks like he's the kind of the vocal leader for this Tennessee defense. So he really worked his way back slow because he was mainly a reserve in 2020, became the starter in 2021, where he actually set the volunteer record for most tackles in a game. And honestly, he's been very good this season as well. So it's like, that's kind of the biggest question. Outside of size, I feel like size, because I don't know. I'm not going to take the character red flag that serious, because again, it seems like he's kind of turned over a new leaf. To some degree, that the maturity is there. He's no longer this kid, because the guy is one of the older prospects. I think he'll be 24 by the time he plays in the NFL. So he's older. He's learned from that. And again, haven't had an issue with him since that 2019 July to August. So we are like years removed from that. So again, that's something you're going to have to question, something teams are going to question. But overall, from what I've seen from a football perspective this season, he's been wonderful. And I think he's really been kind of the heart and soul of that defense. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.